Namaste, I'm Alyssa, and today I'm going to be taking you through an inner work process called Return to Sender. And to do this process today, you'll need 3 sheets of paper. Be loosely pieces of paper or in your journal, but make sure at least one of them you can rip out of your journal, and later we're going to dispose of it, and then a writing utensil. As you can see, I'm outside. You can choose to do this process wherever you feel comfortable. And it's a beautiful fall day in Michigan, and a perfect time and a perfect season to let go. And by letting go, I mean of the limiting beliefs and the lies that we've collected. So when we come into this world, we are pure, light, innocent beings, and we are still those pure, light, innocent beings. But what happens is through childhood trauma, our parents, siblings, school, our environment, society, we get covered. We take on layers of other people's stuff, and we forget who we truly are and the truth about who we are. So today, we're going to go through 3 steps of writing the lies that we were told about ourselves. So meaning it could be a parent, a friend, a teacher that maybe said you weren't good enough or violated you in some way, or you had to endure a situation that no child should have to go through. And the idea here is not to blame, it's not to lash out, and if you feel anger, know that anger is very normal and a valid feeling, and it's a very physical feeling. So if you'd like to pause the video at any time to let some anger out, you're more than welcome to. I always advise either like a pillow, that's my favorite way of like hitting or screaming into it. I also have heard people use pool noodles, so if you have a pool noodle on hand, that might help and release any excess anger. But really what's under anger a lot of times is hurt. So also allowing space for that hurt. But again, we don't want to re-traumatize ourselves and go into that trauma and relive it. That's not the purpose of today. It's to extract what belief we received from that trauma. So again, it's not to blame, it's not to revisit, but to really dive into the belief system that we took, that you aren't good enough, you're not smart, or whatever it was that you took away from the situation because your innocent mind had no other choice, and it did the best that it could in that situation. So that's the first step, and then we'll move into the truth of who you are and take each of those lies and flip it around and remember and rediscover the truth within us and the light being within us. And then we'll write a letter to the main players that attributed to these beliefs. And ideally it's one person, but it could be a couple. And we'll write that letter and return to sender. So not physically mail the letter, but really get it all out on paper, our true feelings. And I mean, if you decide to send it, maybe you send a version of the letter, maybe you have a conversation with the person, but either way, symbolically representing to let it go. And this is, again, a perfect practice to do during fall or any time of the year, really. An energetic clearing and returning back to yourself. I've done this process multiple times, and I find that there's still some charges there that need to still be cleared. So you might do it once and find that you need to do it again. And that's okay. I kind of get frustrated with that. I just want to check the box and have it be done. But life isn't like that. Healing isn't like that. I think the greatest example of this process for me was having a parent come and visit and writing a letter and doing this process and really having just like a pure, like, present experience with this parent instead of just blaming and, you know, acting out all this resentment and anger and criticism and ironically doing what she did to me to her. It was just like in a space of love. So getting to a place where you can just love, and that's the pureness of our hearts and the pureness of our beings, and it deserves to be shown. You deserve to experience that, not only with yourself but with others. So with that being said, let's get started. Take out your first sheet of paper and title it Lies I Was Told About Myself. And again, if it helps to think of situations or something that really stands out in your mind, either from childhood or maybe it's something recent. Maybe a boss or a coworker said something to you that really upset you, or you had a situation with a friend or an ex-partner. It could be recent, or it could be from 20 years ago. It all depends on what's kind of coming up intuitively in your mind. And not, again, the goal is to not relive the event, but going in and extracting about and kind of understanding what happened, but what belief that we took away from that. And, with the parent, it was my mom, and I felt very criticized by her growing up. And so I grew up not feeling good enough. And that was a belief that I took away from that situation, like being young and not having any context. And so the lie that I would write is, I am not enough, for instance. So they start with I, and typically I am, or I feel, or I am stupid, or I don't like my body, or what's the deepest layer? What's the real core thing that you took away from that instance? Having seen through the anger and the hurt, what's the belief that's there? If you'd like to pause this video, you're more than welcome to, and I will see you back. Welcome back. When you've had time to write out your list of lies that you believe about yourself, really feel the heaviness of the list in front of you. How did it feel extracting these things and realizing this is what you believe about yourself? Would you talk to your friend that way? Would you want your sibling to, or your children to feel these things? Really feel the weight and the heaviness of carrying these lies, and ultimately lies that were never yours. These are someone else's pain, someone else's trauma, and we're here to break that cycle, to begin anew, to have a rebirth. Like, our egos try to protect us, and in protecting us, they believe and take on these things in our environment because we try to adapt to our environment. We try to adapt and please the people around us. And we need to forgive ourselves and forgive those around us, because ultimately hurt people hurt people. So just taking a moment and honoring these things, and also realizing that we don't have to hang on to these things. And that's beautiful that they were able to come up for you today. So the next piece of paper, you're going to write the truth of who I am at the top. The truth of who I am. And take each one of these and write the opposite. And sometimes it's not the exact opposite. Sometimes you do need to nuance some of them. Like, for instance, people always hurt me. That statement isn't true, but you can't say people are never going to hurt me. So your brain's not going to like that. So it's not going to accept it. So it might be, I can trust myself to have people in my life that I can trust and feel safe with. I can discern people who are not good for me in my life. Not everyone is going to hurt me. And there are people out there who want to love me. So like any type of those iterations. So again, if you'd like to pause the video and take some time to write out the truth of who you are. Okay, so now you have your list of lies I was told about myself and the truth of who I am. And looking at the truth of who you are, looking at that list, and reading things like, I am good enough, I get to choose my attitude, I don't owe people anything, the only person I need to please is myself. Those are some examples that I wrote down. And really feeling that and feeling the lightness. And that this is like such a good, useful tip to help discern too. If you're making a decision or like deciding to do this or that, like feeling it in your body. Does it feel light? Does it feel loving? Or does it feel heavy? Does it feel stressful and understanding we have responsibilities and things like that, but you know, a lot of our life we get to choose, and sometimes we make the choice because we feel like we have to do it. And I invite you, when you're deciding these things, to tune into your body and to feel that. And I want you to feel this truth and feel the lightness and the love that's wrapped in that, and move towards the light and the love, and choosing to leave dark and heavy, and yes, honoring those feelings and processing those dark and heavy feelings, but ultimately leaving those behind too when it's time. So having these two lists in front of you and really feeling into them and the different energies they present. And now moving on to the letter that we're going to write. This person or these people or society, whoever we choose to write this and address this letter to. So you're going to start this letter with Dear Mom, Dear whoever. That'll be at the top. So writing Dear whoever you're addressing this letter to. And next you're going to say, I've been doing healing work and realized. So we're starting this letter, we're giving this person context. We're going to be outlining exactly what we just did. And the next part is, I have been doing healing work and realized. And again, this is a suggestion, so if you feel like there's a better word or a better phrase that suits you, that this letter is for you and it should be in your voice, so feel free to replace any of those words as well. So dear whomever, I have been doing healing work and realized I have inherited a lot of beliefs from you that I would like to give back. So I have inherited a lot of beliefs from you that I would now like to give back. So once you have that sentence, the next one is, these are the beliefs I took on while spending time with you, while living in your home, wherever the context was of when you picked up or the situation that you took on these beliefs. You're going to write out where that was. So these are the beliefs I took on while living or spending time with you, or however you want to phrase that. So next you'll want to grab your lies I was told about myself list, and now you're going into listing out what you took on. So looking at that list and getting like the general feeling. So I took on your judgment, your loneliness, anxiety, stress, whatever it is, criticism, listing out what those traits were that you took on that was really theirs and not yours. So I took on your And then the next sentence is getting into how you felt. So we just listed the traits in which created the environment that you were in. And now you're going to go in and list how you felt. So I never felt good enough, or I never felt safe, or how going into how you felt about the situation. I felt small or rejected. So once you have how you felt, now you're going to move into the list of lies and saying, I have beliefs that I am not, that my needs can't be met, that I can't speak up, that I'm not beautiful, whatever it is. Go and list the beliefs that you took on and that you put on your list. And once you have the beliefs that you took on listed, you're going to say, now, these were always yours. I am no longer carrying them for you. They were always yours to carry and heal. So again, if you write down, these were always yours. I am no longer carrying them for you. They were always yours to carry and to heal. So taking a moment and writing that. These were always yours. I am no longer carrying them for you. They were always yours to carry and to heal. And then the next sentence is, now that you're aware, I'd like to tell you who I really am, which is not a projection of you. So now that you're aware, I'd like to tell you who I really am, which is not a projection of you. Because you were never any of that stuff. And you took on their pain, their suffering, their trauma. They projected their stuff onto you and you took that on. And now it is time to give it back. And now it's time to let them know who you really are. So now that you're aware, I'd like to tell you who I really am, which is not a projection of you. Who I really am is someone you haven't been able to see because I've been covered. So who I really am is someone you haven't been able to see because I've been covered. And then now you move into, this is the truth of who I am. So this is the truth of who I am. Someone who is confident, someone who is loving, someone who is kind. And taking out your truth of who you are and writing those things. Someone who is just the purest light and love that you can imagine. That is who you are. And that's who you're going to tell this person, who you're writing the letter to, who you actually are. So this is the truth of who I am. And it's someone who is blank. You fill it in. This is the opportunity to really express who you actually are, because they never got to see that person. All they saw was a projection of themselves. And it is sad. But now is the time where you can assert yourself and live your authentic truth and write out who you actually are. So claim it and own it. Tell them things that you wish you could have, or wish you could now, or wish you could have said or done or been in those moments when you were just we were just taking on their stuff. Assert yourself now. So the next sentence is, that is who you think you are, but this is who I know I am. That is who you think you are, but this is who I know I am. That was your pain, and this is me. It's my time to live it. So however you want to phrase that, but stepping into your truth, what you would actually say to that person if you could go back into that moment with your consciousness that you have now, what would you say? That was you, this is me. Step into your truth, and that's that next sentence. So that was your pain, and this is me. It's my time to live it. And then we want to start to wrap and close up the letter. So going back to what we talked about and really dissecting that hurt people, that we can only operate from our frame of consciousness, from our theme of consciousness, which if you haven't read the inner book, I highly suggest it. This is what kind of the exercises that I got from it, from the yoga couple being in their yoga institute. And to get deeper into this work, you can really identify, which theme of consciousness you're in, and in different situations and things like that, and how to work and move out of it. But one thing that with the inner work that you realize is that everybody's in different themes of consciousness, all at different times, and really believing that people are doing the best that they can, and they're really seeing life through that lens. And did these people mean to hurt you? Probably not. Again, their trauma and their pain, their shame, and how they feel inside is what they're projecting out. We can only see ourselves, and our reality is created from that. So, no, was it right that they treated you this way? No. But what we can do is not take that hate and resentment and blame and really truly start to forgive them if you're able to, and wish them the best. And that's all we can do, is just put more love out into the world and hope that people do the work and the healing. And even if they don't, recognize that you can. And So this next sentence is, I genuinely wish you the best in your healing, in healing your wounds, but it is not my responsibility. It's up to you to do your own work. So however you would like to word that, but I genuinely wish you the best in healing your wounds, but it's not my responsibility. It's up to you to do your own work. We can't do work for other people. So wishing them the best in their healing, but it is not your responsibility. It's up to them. It's up to you to do your own work. Final sentence. I'm moving on to be me. Or however you feel you can best close out this letter and state that you're moving forward and moving on from this, that you're leaving ultimately these beliefs and these projections behind, and you're stepping into the truth of who you are. I am moving on to be me. And you can sign the letter, close it out, and feeling the lightness or any of the feelings that you're feeling after writing this letter and doing all of this work and this process and looking at the letters and the notes in front of you, and just in thanking that experience, and even thanking, if you can find it, that person, because ultimately you wouldn't be the person that you are today. You wouldn't have gone through the experiences you've gone through, and through darkness comes the light, and you're able to be reborn and step into this true, authentic version of yourself, and this uncovering, the phoenix rising from the ashes. So I invite you to take the lies list and burn it safely, get rid of it, rip it up, whatever you need to do to get rid of this list. I encourage you to do it, and you can make it a ceremony. You can do it on a full moon, or you can just do it on a Friday night, whatever feels right for you, and get rid of the lies, because it's time to move on and step into your true authentic self. And then I invite you to take the truth of who you are and put it on your nightstand, put it on the mirror, and constantly remind yourself of the truth of who you are. And if you see that you're getting caught in an old belief or an old thought pattern that's not serving you, it's to just remind yourself of who you are. You can set reminders on your phone to say that you're enough and that there's abundance in the world. Just all of these reminders to remind you of who you actually are. And I really thank you for taking the time to do this work. It benefits not only you, but everybody in your life, and every person you go out and meet, strangers on the street, and just the world consciousness. So the more you become your authentic self, the more not only are you happy, but those around you and the world just furthers along. The world needs more people stepping into their true authentic self. So I thank you for doing the work today, and I hope you have a wonderful evening. So namaste.